Hello, beautiful people. My name is Redis of Altamira, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. This is the first of my videos where I'm going to be doing some job quests. I'm not going to be doing too many. Well, I can't do too many right now because I only have access to three classes. But that will be changing in the future. It'll be changing quite a lot in the future, actually. Oh, I didn't mean to click anything in there. Alright, let us get started. So, I'm gonna head over to the Thaumaturge Guild and get them started. Yeah, that's right, we're meeting even more Lullafels. But that's fine. I don't have anything against Lullafels, just some Lullafel players. We're gonna talk to Yayake. Welcome to the Thaumaturge's Guild. It is fate that has guided your steps here, friend. Within these hallowed halls, the arts of devastation are taught. Primeval magics with which to bring about an enemy's ruin. If you would join our ranks and wield the power of thaumaturgy, I urge you to seize this moment and confide in me your arcane ambitions. Yes, I do wish to join the Thaumaturge's Guild. Yes, there truly was no other answer, was there? Lean closer now, and I shall whisper to you of thaumaturgy's beginnings. The nation of Ul'dah inherited its tradition from ancient Belladia, a city founded by the descendants of the first mages. The secrets of the illustrious sorcerers were ultimately entrusted to the priests of the Order of Nald'thal, who have passed them down from generation to generation ever since. Focused and refined over centuries of use in the Order's funereal rites, the arcane magics of our ancestors eventually emerged as the art we now know as thaumaturgy. Freezing blizzard to halt corruption, a raging fire to cleanse the corpse, a bolt of lightning to expel the sins of mortal life. The dwemmers employed in the preparation of the dead are equally efficacious when applied to the living. Efficacious, I think that's how you say that word. Thus does our guild thrive in the depths of Arzanath Ossuary, a sanctuary devoted to Thal, the divine arbiter of the afterlife. What say you then, adventurer? If you would plumb the abyssal depths of thaumaturgy, let our learned sages guide your descent. But before you leap into the darkness, you must prove to our guildmasters that you are possessed of the spiritual fortitude necessary to look upon that which waits therein. When you are ready to submit to the judgment of our most eminent mages, say the word. Okay. So, this is Thal, the god of the underworld. Apparently. Well, adventurer, will you join our guild, or do you presume to ignore the urgings of impatient destiny? Lay of the Thaumaturge. Yayake wishes you to reaffirm your desire to join the Thaumaturge's Guild. A wise decision indeed. To prepare for your initiation, I would have you study the volumes of Fundamental Thaumaturgical Principle, all 108 of them. Or at least I would, if such requirements had not been abolished. Too great a deterrent of fresh novices, they said. I suppose you shall just have to settle for calling upon the collective wisdom of our guildmasters. We have 5, you see, all brothers of the same house. Though they all wield supreme authority, it is the eldest who provides a singular voice for the guild when one is required. Master Bugo, I believe. So yeah, we have Kokobani, Kokobugo, Kokoboha, Kokobezi, and Kokobuki. Well, what these Lullafel are doing right here is actually an emote we can get at some point. Anywho, Kokobugo. What? A false teeth, man. Did your mother never tell you not to startle a thaumaturge? Look at that expectant face, Kokobugo. This gentleman is obviously a new applicant for the guild seeking audience with our eldest brother. Oh, Prelate Yayake. She can recite the 307 verses of the funerary rites for the virtuous fallen, but the simple task of keeping her name straight seems ever beyond her grasp. Well, I for one find the constant confusion endlessly entertaining. My apologies, good sir. My merriment was not meant to mock your mistake. It is our sibling Kokobuki with whom you should speak. What's this? What's this? Thou has led to us a new aspirant? Kokobuki, were you here the entire time? Greetings, child. I am Kokobuki the eldest, and I would venture to say the wisest of the 5 masters of the Thaumaturge's Guild. It is my solemn duty to furnish our would-be initiates with a succinct understanding of our beloved art. Thus, I would have your fullest attention. To wield the thaumaturge is to unleash devastation to the highest magnitude. The least lethal force of our spells far exceeds the destructive capability of any other form of arcane or manipulation. Fire, lightning, blizzards, somnolence. The thaumaturge calls upon an expansive arsenal of offensive incantations to incapacitate and obliterate all manner of adversaries. Open your mind to our sorcerer's teachings, and you too shall soon hold the unparalleled power of our discipline in the palm of your hand. Of course, such power has a price. You must be willing to plunge head first into the forbidding chasm of thaumaturgy's secrets, for advancement in this art comes only with the completion of deadly and terrible trials. I ask you now, aspirant, are you prepared to leap into the abyss in pursuit of power unrivaled? Yeah, sounds fun. A confident response. Your name, if you will? Redis. Very well, Redis. Let us mark your initiation with 3 eminently practical gifts. My first gift to you shall be an addition to your hunting log, the names of such enemies that will prove suitable to your training as a thaumaturge. The second and third gifts are the scepter and shield, instruments you shall need to focus the destructive force of your will. Did you believe your initiation over? My dear disciple, we have only just begun. Take your new weapons in hand, and I will set you forth upon your first trial. Okay. Thaumaturge unlocked. You have unlocked a new class. You can change to this class at any time by equipping the weapon received from this quest. When changing classes, gear sets will allow you to register and save your equipment. You may then use them to switch between classes instantly without the need to manually equip weapons or equipment. A button for the gear set interface is located in the top portion of the character window. Alright, so I'm going to try to hide behind this pillar to give me some privacy, but that's not going to happen. So instead, I'm going to equip the scepter. You'll see me in my skivvies for half a second. And now I'm ready to go. Master Kokobuki. My first scepter. Guildmaster Kokobuki wishes to test the limits of your thaumaturgical aptitude. The scepter well complements the avid desire for destructive power written upon your features. Now we shall complete your initiation with a trial to test the limits of your aptitude for channeling thaumaturgy. Huge hornets, star marmots, and snapping shrews inhabit this land in abundance. Exercise your sorcerer's might and slay 3 of each of these creatures before returning to my side. Okay. Going to have to kill more of the same, I believe, as a, when we pick up Pugilist after this quest. But I'm not going to pick them up at the same time because this is honestly, doing them one at a time is a good way to get experience. And we're going to pop over to the gate, to the steps of the Nald Gate. Oh my. Okay. So the thaumaturge is a unique class, even among the casters. See, they have two stances that they need to alternate between. Right now we only have the ice stance, which is just fine. It pretty much gives us unlimited and we just unlocked our second stance as well. I thought it was going to be later. But it is the fire stance. The fire stance just eats mana. Each fire spell after the first costs 1,600 mana, and we have 10,000 total. There are ways to increase that in specific areas, but it's not a thing that we're going to get to do this playthrough, probably. And we just learned an ability that's going to make progressing even easier, because we can now switch between fire and ice stances with the press of a button, rather than casting a spell and hoping, waiting for the spell to cast. The stance we're in now, I say stance, we are now in our Umbral Ice phase, and this is Astral Fire. Eventually our gauge will have more options on it, and we won't just be limited to one little crystal. We can get that gauge gets so busy by level 90, which is level cap right now. Like, it's insane. And now we've unlocked our level 5 quest. So, the point of shifting between Astral Fire and Umbral Ice is very simple. Your fire spells deal much more damage than your ice spells. Each stack of Astral Fire increases the damage they deal. But Umbral Ice, but the price for all of those fire spells is eating through your MP. Umbral Ice is kind of the opposite. I say kind of the opposite. It is the opposite. Rather than eating MP, it regenerates your MP. So when you run out of MP with your fire spells, you just switch over to Ice, get it back, then switch over to your fire stance. And now we have Thunder, which is a damage over time ability, which is something that we're going to want to keep on our enemies, at least as well as we can. Alright, let's talk to Kokobuki. You have the satisfied look of a mage who has utterly vanquished his foes, Redis. I formally welcome you into the Brotherhood of Thaumaturges. The purpose of this trial was to gauge your capacity for wielding thaumaturgy, an innate quality, the limits of which are bound by the level of etheric energy flowing through your physical being. Aether, the very stuff of life, exists within all living creatures, so to a greater or lesser extent. Remember this, for it is the most basic law of arcane manipulation. As your experience grows, so shall your reserves of thaumaturgical endurance. The wellspring of your magical might will also swell in response to moments of extreme terror and duress. When you find yourself seeking greater challenge, when next you crave the thrill of exquisite fear, that is when you shall know the time has come for you to visit me once more. The next thaumaturge quest will be available from Kokobuki upon reaching level 5. The threat of intimacy. Guildmaster Kokobuki wishes to draw you further into the abyss of thaumaturgy's secrets. Your burgeoning power strains against the confines of your untried mortal shell. Another trial you must have. From this day forth, your tasks and challenges will be shaped by the teachings found within thaumaturgy, the Yawning Abyss, a tome penned by the renowned thaumaturge Zozomaya. My brothers, who have not once tasted the bitter draught of defeat, will instruct you on the vital lessons to be gleaned from the 4 extensive chapters that comprise this exemplary work. Much shall you learn about the threats with which a practitioner of our art must contend. The first chapter, The Threat of Intimacy, falls within Kokobugo's purview. It is only fitting that one so averse to being approached should teach you the wisdom to be uncovered therein. Yes, Redis, I've been expecting you. Allow me to read to you the pertinent passages from the opening chapter to Zozomaya's Guide. The Threat of Intimacy. Ah, how magnificent the potent power we wield. Roaring flames, piercing ice, and shocking bolts are matched not by fist or sword or spear, but the burly warrior waxes fearsome with every closing step. Fists shatter bone, blades slide through flesh, spears puncture soft bellies. Know you this threat, and stand you apart from such men. Ugh, that last part makes me queasy, no matter how often I recite it. The lesson, however, should be obvious. Keep your distance from your foes. Apart from the agony of being hit, or stabbed, or worse, you'll have a devil of a time completing any incantation with an enemy flailing his weapons at your person. Thus the wise thaumaturge always strikes from afar. The farther, the better. Now let us proceed with your trial. Take this dried fish and set it down in the vicinity of the Silver Bazaar. Next, draw back to a comfortable distance and wait for a vulture to swoop in to feed. That's when you ambush the nasty creature with a barrage of deadly spells. Once you've slain the scavenger, be sure to retrieve a generous slice of vulture meat for Fafafono. He doesn't mind us conducting trials so close to his shop, as long as he's properly compensated. Yes, Redis, we pay him in sorcery-blasted bird flesh. I mean, why not? Makes sense to me. And we're going to want to go to Western then. Silver Bazaar, I believe, is... Yep, it's a little ways away. Not too far, but a ways. While I'm on the way, I'm going to kill some ladybugs. Black Mage, the Thaumaturge also has some of the longest cast times. I think there are a couple spells that the Red Mage has that are longer, but it's ridiculous with the thaumaturge. And we are gaining about 500% experience for almost all of our kills here, which is fantastic. But it's not going to last forever because we're about to run out of resting experience. Down to 454%. Nope, 400. One of the beautiful things about the armory system is that it gives you more experience the further you are away from your highest level class. So, while our highest level class is the Gladiator at 22-ish, I believe, we'll gain more experience the further we are below that, which is why we got to level 7 in about 20 minutes. But the higher this class goes, the less experience it's going to get from the armory system, which is fine. and that extends into perpetuity. Like, once we get a class to level 90, every class up to level 90 will be gaining extra experience. Excuse me. Thunder on these guys. Thunder does cost MP to use, which is why I usually try to cast it during my ice phase. That way I can make that MP back and switch into fire. As much MP as possible. Ah, sweet, we learned Addle. Addle is a roll action, all magical DPS can learn it. It decreases magic damage. But you have to have an enemy targeted to use it, so it's not like the Paladin's Rampart or anything like that. But it is quite useful and can save your skin in a pinch. Just Blizzard. Thunder. That's Thunder. Oh boy. While you're casting, you can't really move, but if you wait until there's less than a second left on the clock, on the cast bar, like 0.3, excuse me, you can move with no repercussions. That's a technique called spell gliding. And if you want to be a caster at all in this game, you have to learn. You should learn spell gliding. It is practically a mandatory thing. Alright, Fafafono. These Lalafell names, man. You're done making use of my testing grounds, are you? Cough up the fee, then. Here you go. There's nothing so tender as a bit of meat pummeled with wanton wizardry. Nice doing business with you, thaumaturge. Did you say thaumaturge? Had this mage just completed a guild trial? Ah, Master Alchemist, what brings you out to our bazaar this fine evening? The gentleman here just slew himself a plump vulture. You'd be surprised at how many of these scepter-wielding sorcerers end up sliced to ribbons by beak and talon. And that's not the sort of flesh I have a taste for, you understand? My brothers, not again. Report to Coco Biogo at the Thaumaturge's Guild. And after this, we're gonna pick up the... Hey, Chocobuki. Yeah, take me back to Ulda. We're gonna pick up the... pugilist quests. Start doing those. I remember enjoying the pugilist quests. Okay, they're fun, and it makes sense from any roleplay perspective that we would learn how to defend ourselves with our fists. Because what if we get disarmed or get caught unawares in the middle of the night by an assassin in our, in our small clothes? Like, what we need to be prepared for that. I mean, none of those things are possible in this game that I've found. But still, from a roleplay perspective, it's a good idea to learn how to punch. So we're gonna learn how to punch, and not just because we need more classes for when our gladiator eventually hits level 90, because and there's not going to be much point in doing this story with him and wasting all that experience on a class that can't get experience, you know? Alright, so we're gonna run this over to Cocobigo. The Lalafell. Nah, Cocobugo. Welcome back, Redis. You seem to have done well. Both eyes intact. Face appears unshredded. It is the most terrible feeling to have one's casting interrupted by heinous injury. It's one of the easier trials, if you ask me. Keep well away from pointy, slashy, bashy things if you want to reach the end of an arcane utterance. That's just common sense. Fortune favors the fighter who flings fire from afar. I simply love the look of loathing leveled at me by the distant duelist distressed by my deadly downpour. Love the alliteration going on there. We thaumaturges excel at offense, but fail miserably at defense. Our most effective strategy is to topple our adversaries with overwhelming force before they have a chance to respond. Honors for knights and dead mages. Redis, your studies appear to be progressing nicely. It won't be long before you dominate the battlefield as an avatar of sorcerous destruction. So it's true, Buki. Don't try to hide from me, Byogo, or you Bonnie, or Bezzy, or Boha. Kokobusi, what are you doing here? That was Kokobuki. Oops. You promised you would teach me next. Well, yes, of course we did, Busi, but Redis here was most insistent. And once again, you brush me aside in the hope that I abandon my heart's desire. Why do you deny me? I hate you, all of you. Please, Busi. You shouldn't say such hurtful things. You know how delicate Byogo is. That was Kokobusi, our youngest brother. He so dearly wishes to become a thaumaturge like the rest of us, but it simply isn't possible. The poor boy's etheric levels are pitifully low. We thought we had convinced him to accept fate's cruel quirks when he entered the Alchemist's Guild, but he yet yearns to walk the path of thaumaturgy. Such is Kokobusi's determination that he spends all his waking moments experimenting with alchemical concoctions, seeking a method by which he can expand his capacity for arcane manipulation. Well, this is obviously not your concern. Back to the abyss with you, young thaumaturge, and I mean that in the most encouraging manner possible. For some reason, I can't help but imagine him being voiced by Kokobuki, being voiced by Steve Bloom. I don't know why that is, but I do. Let's put on our staff and our robe. There we go. Alright, let's head over to the Pugilist Guild. The Pugilist Guild is actually right across from the Aetherite. Or near enough about there. I like that outfit. Let's see. This way. The Big Fist is Jajakuta. Interesting name. Gagaruna. Greetings and welcome to the Pugilists Guild. We pugilists are specialists in hand-to-hand combat. Through rigorous training, we forge devastating weapons of our fists and feet, which we employ to great effect in battle. There is no better place in all of the realm to train in our discipline than here. If you would walk the path of the pugilist, I highly recommend you add your name to our roll. What say you, friend? Yeah, I'll join the Pugilist Guild. A decision you'll not regret, but before we proceed to the paperwork, it is essential that you know something of our guild's storied past. Since time immemorial, man has used whatever has been at his disposal to settle disputes. In the beginning, that meant fighting with his fists. Such hand-to-hand combat existed in various forms throughout Eorzea, each evolving independently of one another. The origins of pugilism as we know it, however, can be traced back to the stage of bare-handed bouts at the Colosseum. These contests attracted fighters from far and wide, bringing their myriad styles crashing together on the blood sands. Amidst this chaotic intermingling of styles, there arose a pugilist of singular strength and skill. This woman made it her life's mission to master every form she encountered, that she might refine her art. Among her many song-worthy exploits, we pugilists remember her participation in a gladiator tournament most fondly, back when barehanded fighting was still seen as a pastime for peasants. She took on fully armed and armored gladiators, and effortlessly bested the lot of them. Word of her feat spread across the realm like wildfire, of course, and Ul'dah swiftly transformed into a center of pugilism, with people flocking from all over to train under this master among masters. The woman's name was Cornelia, and it is to her that the Pugilists Guild owes its existence. The art practiced here is based on her all-encompassing style, and this training hall is modeled upon the one which she once built. And there it is, a brief history of our guild. I've told this tale 1,000 times, but gods, it never fails to fan the flames of my fighting spirit. Now then, before we can proceed with your enrollment, you must first obtain the Guildmaster's approval. Let me know when you are ready to meet him. I'm ready to meet the Guildmaster. Way of the Pugilist. Gagaruna wishes you to reaffirm your desire to join the Pugilists Guild. Master Hamon is among the greatest pugilists of our time. For long years, the man ruled the Blood Sands as the Holy Fist, though he has since retired in favor of training aspiring fighters. You'll find him overseeing his charges yonder. Go now, and show to him the fighting spirit that burns within you. Okay. Past time you got your arse back here. Well, what did the dancer have to say about my proposition? You're not my errand boy. There's no dancer, there never was. I'm not doing anything indecent, I swear to the gods. Whatever you say, Roshi. Well, you're here to enroll? Well, why didn't you say so sooner? In my capacity as Guildmaster, I would be glad to give you a primer on the art of hand-to-hand combat. Doubtless you already know this, but we pugilists fight with our fists and feet. While those don't deal as much damage as a blade, it hardly matters when you can land several blows for each swing of the sword. What we lack in destructive force, we more than make up for in speed and cunning. Under my guidance, not only will you master striking techniques, you'll also learn to string them together to deliver an endless flurry of blows. Only through such fierce combinations can we... I skipped. I'm sorry. Crikey, I'm spent from all this talking. You gotta speak more, son. It gave me a chance to catch my breath. But where was I? Ah, right. Joining the guild. Before you do so, I must warn you that the path of the pugilist is long and arduous. Do you believe you got what it takes to go the distance? Be honest with yourself now. Yeah, I can go the distance. Yes, you have the fighting spirit. I can see it in your eyes. I see no reason to deny you a place in these halls. Welcome to the guild, son. To help you on your way, I'll add some names to your hunting log, opponents that you might hone your skills against. And so as to make a budding pugilist of you, here's your very own pair of hora. They're a tad old and rusted, but that'll serve to make you look meaner, I reckon. Now, I have a mind to assign you your first lesson. Arm yourself with your weapons and let me know when you're ready to begin. So, as soon as possible, you're going to see me acquire something to put, a skin to put over the pugilist weapons, because I do not like them so much. Add you're set, pugilist. Talk to Hamon again. My first Hora. Hamon wishes to teach you your first lesson. Looking every bit a pugilist, son. Now the learning can commence. For your first lesson, I want you to test your fledgling skills against the vermin of Thanalan. Get out there and put down 3 marmots, 3 hornets, and 3 shrews. Return here when the deed is done. Now, this goes without saying, but I expect you to fight using the Hora I just gave you. It counts for naught if you skewer the beasties with a spear, or fry them with a spell, say. Alrighty, let's go. We're going to the Gate of Knowledge. Boot shot. The Pugilist is the only melee class that does not have some sort of ranged capability. Very quickly. True strike. The Pugilist used to be the busiest class in the game, because every single one of their moves dealt extra damage if you used it from a different side of the enemy. Like, Boot Shine was from the back, I believe True Strike was from the side. I don't recall anymore. But they removed that with, they did a bit of a rework on the Monk, not the Pugilist, and both. And this expansion is coming out before it came out, I believe. And Snap Punch. Snap Punch was definitely from the side, I believe. But yeah, they removed the directional requirements, and they took away another thing that made the Monk busy, only to replace it with something a little easier. I say easier. What they had was easy enough, but meh. And back to the Aetherite Plaza to get to the Pugilist Guild. Those are emotes that we will never be able to get. Unless we pay real money for them, which I'm not about to. Alright. Guildmaster Hamon. If you want to become strong, you mustn't neglect your training. Indeed, a pugilist is only as good as the number of strikes he's dealt. So get out there, Redis, and let your fists fly. When the time is right, I'll teach you something new. There's no limit to the potential of youth. Look forward to seeing you come into your own. Ha ha ha! The next pugilist quest will be available from Hamon upon reaching level 5. Harder than rock. Gonna get Bone Hora. And a shirt. Guildmaster Hamon wishes you to learn the basics of combinations. You've been training hard, Redis, I can tell by the lightness of your steps and the strength in your fists. I reckon you're ready for our next lesson. But before we begin, some warming up's in order. For this, I've scattered some gil across Ul'dah. I want you to run around the city and pick it all up. Now that's my money laying out there, so I want you to go about it like there's an Amalja warband on your heels. In other words, I want you to sprint. Of course, you can't go on sprinting indefinitely. Your body needs to rest after a while after each burst of speed. This may sound elementary, but I'm telling you this to demonstrate a point. As a pugilist, it's essential that you learn to pace yourself in a fight, else you're liable to get worn out. When that happens, the fight's as good as over, and you'd be sorry if you had bet on yourself. Yeah, I can use words. So, it is true that our sprint has a cooldown, but back in my day, we had a third bar at the bottom of the screen. It was called TP, or technical points, and it was what every melee class used for their abilities. And it's what everyone used to sprint. Actually, sprint would consume all of your points. So, if you sprinted and then got into combat, you'd be hard-pressed to fight. And by hard-pressed, I mean you would actually be dragging everyone down, because you decided to sprint instead of saving your TP for combat. There it is. They removed TP, I think, 2 or 3 expansions ago? Something like that? And since then, sprint has actually become very useful in dungeons and to get around, because things can't deal damage to you as a tank if you're running from them. And that is a thaumaturge in a wedding dress, and I love it. Yes, in this game you can get married to other players. It costs real money, but you get a ring that lets you teleport to your partner, and you get some clothing if you pay for the right type of wedding, because there's multiple types, of course. You can even get a 2-person mount from it. Used to be it was the only 2-person mount in the game, but now that's not the case. I thought someone had sent me a message that I needed to pay attention to, but they did not. Mr. Hammond, that's my money laying out there, son. I'd think you to hurry and pick it all up before some vulture swoops on it. Yeah, that's why I'm back. I have 500 go? Crocky, this is good for a week's worth of... I mean, well done, Redis. Now that you're all warmed up, we can see to your lesson. A trial, to be precise. Take yourself to Scorpion Crossing in Western Thanalan. There you'll find 4 large stones, the trial stones they're called. I want you to deal each of these stones a solid boot shine combo. The impact will arouse the earth sprites that sleep within, which you must then defeat. You find yourself hard-pressed, there's no shame in running away. You're still learning the ropes after all. Once you've gotten your wind back, you can hurl yourself into the fray again. And remember this, strikes bring down opponents, but it's your footwork that keeps you standing. Now off you go, Redis, and good luck. Yay! And the gate is right here, so no need to take the Ethernet. My neck is feeling stiff. It's because I'm sitting like a limp banana again, like my roommate says. Yeah, imagine that, a limp banana. Like, that is a hard thing to picture for me. While we're on our way to the Earth Sprites, I'm gonna punch a couple cactuses with my fists. You'll notice that every time you hit a move, another one lights up with like this glowing border. Generally, when you see that glowing border, you want to hit that button because it's going to deal the most damage. Alright, here are the trial stones. We're gonna approach them, target them, and punch them. Yep, Snap Punch does deal more damage from the side. But since they're going to be turning to face us, we're not really going to be able to get that off. There's 3 down, 1 to go. Moonshine. Interact. Now that's done, we can run back up the steps to the Pugilist Guild. By the time we get to the gate, we'll be able to sprint again. Oh, 9 seconds. That was very wrong. Guildmaster Hamon. So you've given the Earth Sprites what for. Well done, Redis. By smiting stone and earth, you forged unyielding weapons of your fists. You're an defenseless font of vigor, Redis. Aye, just like myself in my younger days. This must be the promising recruit you've been telling me about. Well, of course he's promising. He's training under Hamon Holy Fist. That's our Master Hamon. Redis, I don't believe I've introduced my assistant yet. This is Chuchuto. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. As introduced, I serve as Master Hamon's right hand, though there's still much and more I have yet to learn. Together, let us strive for mastery of our art. Chuchuto joined the guild soon after I was made its master. She's my very first student, as a matter of fact. Well, there was one other, to be sure, but... Let's not dwell on the past, Master. It was Redis's bright future we were discussing. Which reminds me, did you collect my gil from him? My gear is rather worn down, and I do need the money for repairs. Yes, Redis's future with us is bright indeed. If he keeps up his efforts, he may well become the next Holy Fist. Train hard, young one, and grow strong. When the time's ripe, I'll have another lesson for you. Our master is dying. Alright, we are going to take that lovely pink shirt. and not equip it, because apparently this is better. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for this video. If you liked it, feel free to snap punch the subscribe button and true strike the bell so you get notified whenever I upload another video. Please pass it on to your friends, much like you would lightning a thunder AoE. And I will see you all in the next video. Until then, be good people.